A young woman with natural coils faces ridicule in an elite fashion house. They call her hair unprofessional and unkempt. She's dismissed, mocked, erased, but she carries a secret, a grandmother's wisdom, a hidden talent, and a truth that will shatter their narrow world. When she returns to the runway that rejected her, she doesn't just walk. She redefines beauty itself. The casting room smelled of expensive perfume and cold ambition. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting harsh shadows across the marble floor. Amara stood in the center, her portfolio clutched against her chest like a shield. 3 judges sat behind a glass table. Their faces were carved from ice. Marcel Lavelle, the lead designer, leaned back in his chair. His eyes traveled from her shoes to her face, then stopped. His lips curled. "Did you not receive our submission guidelines?" His voice sliced through the silence. Amara's throat tightened. "I did. I followed every requirement." Marcel gestured vaguely toward her head. "This is a professional environment. We have standards. Image matters." Behind her, the other auditionees shifted. Someone whispered. Someone else stifled a laugh. Amara's hand moved instinctively to her hair, her natural coils, thick and voluminous, styled in a high puff. She'd spent an hour shaping them that morning. "My work speaks for itself," she said quietly. Marcel didn't even open her portfolio. He slid it back across the table. The sound of leather against glass echoed like a slap. Lavelle Fashion House represents elegance, refinement, not. He waved his hand dismissively. "This." The judge to his left, a woman in ivory, avoided Amara's eyes. The third judge examined his phone. "Security will show you out." Marcel had already turned to the next applicant. The door opened behind her. A guard stepped forward. Amara walked. Out on trembling legs, her portfolio pressed against her racing heart. Outside, the glass doors reflected her image back, fractured, distorted, barely recognizable. 3 months earlier, Amara's world had been different. Her studio apartment was small, but alive with color. Fabric samples covered every surface. Emerald green silk, burnt orange cotton, royal blue velvet. Sketches papered the walls, each one a dream given shape. Her sewing machine hummed in the corner, surrounded by spools of gold thread. She was a third-year design student at Metropolitan Arts Institute. Her professors praised her technical skill. Her classmates borrowed her notes. But what set Amara apart was her vision. Designs that celebrated texture, cultural heritage, natural beauty. Her roommate Jade sat cross-legged on the floor, flipping through Amara's latest sketches. "These are incredible. You need to submit them somewhere." "I'm still a student." Amara adjusted a piece of mustard yellow fabric on her dress form. "So?" "Lavelle Fashion House is holding open auditions. Emerging designers. They scout for their spring show." Jade held up her phone, showing the announcement. Amara's hands stilled. Lavelle was legendary, a dynasty built over 3 generations. Models who walked their runway became household names. Designers who trained there launched empires. "I'm not ready for Lavelle." "Your grandmother would disagree." The name hit like a physical touch. Amara turned to the photograph on her desk, her grandmother draped in deep burgundy fabric, her silver hair wrapped in traditional Nigerian jewel. She'd been a seamstress in Lagos before immigrating, carrying nothing but her sewing kit and her pride. "She always said fashion is storytelling," Amara whispered. "Then tell your story." Jade stood, squeezing her shoulder. "Submit the portfolio. What's the worst that could happen?" Amara had laughed then. She hadn't known. The next week, she'd prepared everything. Her portfolio showcased 12 designs, each piece celebrating natural hair textures through fabric manipulation, coiled patterns, textured weaves, voluminous silhouettes. She'd written artist statements explaining her vision, Beauty doesn't need alteration. The morning of the audition, she'd stood before her mirror. Her coils formed a perfect crown. Her grandmother's voice echoed, "Your hair tells our story. Never hide it." She'd walked into Lavelle Fashion House believing talent would be enough. The audition had started well. Amara entered the evaluation room at 2:47 p.m., her portfolio under her arm. The space was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, white walls adorned with framed magazine covers featuring Lavelle's work. 20 other hopefuls waited in chairs along the wall. When her name was called, she approached the judges' table with steady steps. "Good afternoon. I'm Amara Okafor, third-year design student. My work focuses on celebrating natural aesthetics through innovative textile manipulation." She opened her portfolio. The female judge, introduced as Simone, leaned forward. Her fingers traced the edge of a sketch, a gown with fabric ripples mimicking natural hair coils. "Interesting concept. The construction here is complex. I use bias cut layering to create dimensional texture without added weight," Amara explained. The third judge, Andre, nodded slightly. "Your technical drawings are precise." Then Marcel Lavelle entered. He'd been in a meeting, Simone explained apologetically. He took his seat, adjusting his cobalt blue tie. His eyes found Amara. The temperature in the room dropped. "Who approved this audition?" Marcel's voice was quiet, dangerous. Simone blinked. "She's on the roster. Her pre-screening portfolio passed our initial review." Our initial review clearly failed. Marcel didn't look at the portfolio. He looked at Amara's hair. Amara felt every eye in the waiting area lock onto her. "Mr. Lavelle, if you'd examine the work," she began. "Did you not read our image standards? Section 3, Paragraph 2. All applicants must present themselves according to professional industry norms." He gestured toward her. "This is not professional." Heat flooded Amara's cheeks. "My appearance doesn't affect my design ability." "Everything about you affects your design ability. Fashion is visual. You represent the brand." Marcel flipped open her portfolio, scanning a single page. His lip curled. "These designs celebrate what exactly? Unkempt aesthetics?" Behind her, someone laughed. The sound was quickly muffled. "They celebrate natural beauty, cultural identity." Amara's voice shook. Marcel tore the page from her portfolio. Sketch of a model with an afro, wearing a flowing emerald green gown. The paper ripped loudly in the silent room. "This isn't what Lavelle represents. We set trends, we don't follow ethnic fads." He closed the portfolio and slid it toward her. "Security." A guard appeared at her elbow. "You're making a mistake," Amara said quietly. "No, Miss Okafor. You made the mistake by wasting our time." The walk to the exit felt endless. Whispers followed her. She glimpsed faces, some sympathetic, most carefully blank. The heavy glass doors opened, closed. The street noise hit her like a wave. Amara found a bench 2 blocks away. She sat. She couldn't remember walking there. Pedestrians flowed past, business people in sharp suits, students with coffee cups, tourists photographing buildings. The city continued as if nothing had happened. As if her world hadn't just cracked open. Her phone buzzed. Jade's name lit the screen. Then again. Again. She couldn't answer. Her hands wouldn't work properly. The portfolio rested in her lap. She opened it, found the torn page, the sketch Marcel had ripped. The model's face was incomplete now, separated from her body. Amara's fingers traced the jagged edge. Her grandmother had braided her hair every Sunday morning. Patient fingers, coconut oil, stories from Lagos woven between the plaits. "Your crown is your power," she'd say. "Never let them convince you to diminish it." But right now her crown felt like a target. Amara touched her hair, soft coils, thick and full. The same texture her mother had, Her grandmother had. Generations of women in her family had worn proudly. When had it become shameful? When had natural become unprofessional? A woman passed by, her hair sleek and straight, not a strand out of place. She glanced at Amara briefly, then away. Shame and rage warred in Amara's chest. Shame for feeling ashamed. Her rage at being made to feel wrong. The torn sketch trembled in her hands. Her grandmother's voice, memory soft. If they cannot see your beauty, teach them. Show them what they've been taught to ignore. But how do you teach someone who refuses to look? The sun shifted behind buildings. Shadows lengthened. Amara sat motionless, her portfolio clutched tight, her crown still perfect, her heart breaking quietly. Amara was 7 when her grandmother taught her the language of thread. They sat in the small sewing room of her grandmother's apartment, surrounded by fabric mountains and the rhythmic hum of an old singer machine. Candlelight flickered. The power had gone out again, but her grandmother's hands never stopped moving. "Fashion is storytelling, Omomi," she whispered, her Yoruba accent thick. "Every stitch holds memory. Every pattern carries meaning." Young Amara watched as a piece of ruby-red fabric transformed under those skilled fingers. Her grandmother had been a seamstress in Lagos, creating garments for weddings, festivals, celebrations. She'd immigrated with nothing but her sewing kit and her dignity. "Why did you leave?" Amara asked. Her grandmother's hands paused. "For opportunities, for your mother, for you." She resumed sewing. "But I brought our stories with me, see?" She showed Amara photographs yellowed with age. Nigerian women in elaborate jewel head wraps, their hair styled in intricate patterns underneath, royalty wearing coral beads and flowing aso-oke fabric, models from the 1960s with magnificent afros, proud and uncompromising. "Your hair is not decoration, child. It is declaration." Her grandmother's fingers moved to Amara's small head, gently separating her coils. "These curls hold our history. Never hide them. But Mama straightens hers for work," Amara said quietly. Her grandmother's expression tightened. "The world teaches us to shrink, to conform, to erase ourselves for comfort. Their comfort, not ours." She tilted Amara's chin up. "You will be different. You will create beauty that needs no apology." At 15, Amara's grandmother taught her pattern making. At 17, draping techniques. At 19, her grandmother pressed a worn journal into her hands. My designs, the ones I never showed. The pages were filled with radical sketches, garments that celebrated African aesthetics, textiles that honored natural forms. I was told they were too ethnic, too bold, too much, she smiled sadly. Perhaps they were ahead of their time. Perhaps you will live in the time that's ready. 6 months later, her grandmother died. Heart failure, sudden and cruel. Amara had worn a dress of her own design to the funeral, deep burgundy fabric with gold threading, textured like her grandmother's favorite jewel. She'd worn her hair natural, coiled and full. Standing at Lavelle Fashion House holding her rejected portfolio, Amara realized the stakes were larger than one audition. This was about honoring a legacy, about refusing erasure, about the promise she'd made at her grandmother's grave. The rejection wasn't just professional failure. It was betrayal of everything she'd been taught to value. 2 weeks after the audition, Amara couldn't sleep. She sat at her laptop at 2 a.m., her apartment dark except for the screen's glow. Jade was at her boyfriend's place. The silence pressed heavy. Amara typed, "Lavelle Fashion House Diversity." The search results loaded. Fashion blogs, industry articles, commentary pieces. She clicked the first link. The article was 6 months old. Lavelle Spring Show, a sea of sameness. The writer noted the lack of models with natural hair, the absence of darker skin tones, the narrow definition of beauty on display. Comment sections exploded beneath. I auditioned there. They told me to do something with my hair first. Same experience. They don't want us. My friend got rejected for wearing locks. Professionally styled locks, Amara clicked another article, then another. Their pattern emerged. Years of similar stories. Designers of color turned away. Models told to tone down their features. Then she found a video interview from 3 years ago. Marcel Lavelle speaking at a fashion summit. We focus on classical beauty standards. Ethnic aesthetics, while interesting, appeal to niche markets. Lavelle serves a global, sophisticated clientele. The words landed like stones in her stomach. Ethnic aesthetics, niche markets. Global meant white. Sophisticated meant straight hair. Her hands trembled on the keyboard. She opened her desk drawer and pulled out her grandmother's journal, the one with the radical designs never shown publicly. She flipped through pages of sketches that celebrated every texture, every shade, every form of beauty the industry had deemed too ethnic. Her grandmother had hidden these, had believed the world wasn't ready. But Amara had been taught to be different, to be bold, to refuse erasure. Her heartbeat quickened. An idea began forming. Reckless, impossible, necessary. What if she didn't wait for permission? What if she didn't ask Lavelle to see her? What if she made them look? The emerging designers competition. The one that Lavelle himself judged. Applications closed in 3 days. Amara pulled up the submission form. Anonymous portfolios accepted. Judged blindly in first rounds. Only finalists revealed. She could submit her grandmother's designs. Let the work speak first. Force Marcel to confront his own bias when he praised something he'd already rejected. It was risky. It could backfire spectacularly, but doing nothing felt like betrayal. Her grandmother's voice, memory soft, you will create beauty that needs no apology. Amara opened a new file and began scanning the journal pages. Her hands no longer shook. They moved with purpose. The night deepened. The city outside her window slept. But Amara worked, converting her grandmother's vision into digital format, preparing a portfolio that would hide her identity, but could not hide its truth. If they couldn't see her, maybe they could finally see the work. The submission confirmation arrived at 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday. Amara stared at her screen. Portfolio number 847 received. First round results in 2 weeks. The cursor blinked. She closed her laptop. Jade found her sitting in the dark. Did you submit it? I submitted it. Anonymously? Completely. Just the designs, no name, no photo, nothing. Amara's voice was flat. The waiting felt endless. She attended classes mechanically. Her professors asked if she was all right. She smiled and nodded and lied. Then the email came. Portfolio Mara 847 has advanced to the semi-finals. Congratulations. Amara's hands shook so hard she nearly dropped her phone. Jade screamed. Their neighbor banged on the wall. They liked it, Amara whispered. They actually liked it. Social media erupted first. Fashion bloggers discovered portfolio number 847 through leaked judging notes. Mystery designer stuns with radical natural aesthetic. Who is an 847? The designs everyone's talking about. Screenshots of her grandmother's sketches circulated. A model with magnificent coils wearing flowing lavender, another with locks adorned in gold threading. The comments praised everything Marcel had rejected. Innovative, bold, refreshing, necessary. 3 days later, another email. Portfolio number 847 finalist in-person presentation required. Please register your identity to receive venue details. This was it. The moment of truth. Amara registered. Received her presentation slot. Saturday, 3 p.m. The venue. Lavelle Fashion House Main Gallery, of course it was. Jade helped her prepare. They rehearsed her presentation 47 times. Amara practiced explaining each design, articulating her grandmother's vision, defending every choice. What if he recognizes you? Jade asked. He will. Amara's voice was steady now. But he'll have to recognize the work first. Saturday arrived wrapped in autumn cold. Amara dressed carefully. A simple black dress she'd designed herself, textured fabric that caught light like coiled hair. She wrapped her head in ivory fabric, traditional Nigerian style, her grandmother's technique. Her reflection looked back, regal, ready, terrified. The gallery was packed. Other finalists mingled nervously. Press photographers circulated. A live-stream camera was set up for the announcement. Amara registered at the desk. The coordinator checked her name, then looked up sharply. Recognition flickered, but she said nothing. The presentations began. Each designer showed their portfolio on large screens, explaining their vision to judges seated in the front row. Marcel Lavelle sat center, flanked by industry executives and fashion journalists. Amara was the seventh presenter. When her name was called, portfolio, JUC 847. Amara Okafor, she walked to the stage. Her designs appeared on screen behind her. The audience leaned forward. The judges looked interested. Marcel hadn't looked up yet from his notes. My grandmother was a seamstress from Lagos, Amara began, her voice carrying. These designs celebrate. Marcel's head snapped up. His eyes found her face, found her head wrap. Recognition slammed across his expression. Stop! His voice cut through the room. The gallery went silent. Amara froze mid-sentence. Her designs glowed on the screen behind her, beautiful, bold, undeniable. Marcel stood slowly. His chair scraped against marble. This is the applicant I rejected 6 weeks ago. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones appeared, recording. The live-stream camera zoomed in. The work was submitted anonymously, Simone said carefully. According to competition rules, I don't care about rules. She was rejected for cause. Marcel's voice was ice. She doesn't meet our standards. You advanced her portfolio to finals, a journalist called out, before you knew who she was. Marcel's jaw tightened. That was an error in judgment. Amara found her voice. You praised these designs 3 days ago. You called them revolutionary in the judging notes. I didn't know the source. The source doesn't change the work. Her hands clenched at her sides. You rejected me because of my hair, not my talent. I rejected you because you lack professionalism. Marcel gestured to security. Remove her. This presentation is terminated. The guard stepped forward. Then a phone rang, sharp, insistent, cutting through tension. Marcel glanced at his assistant, who was staring at her screen, face pale. Sir, you need to see this. She turned her phone toward him, then toward the room. On her screen, a news article published 7 minutes ago. Fashion's dirty secret, Lavelle House accused of systematic discrimination. The journalist who wrote it stood in the back of the gallery, phone raised, filming everything. The article detailed years of rejected designers of color, anonymous testimonies, the video of Marcel's ethnic aesthetics comment, screenshots of internal emails discussing brand image requirements, and at the center, Amara's story, her rejected portfolio, the torn sketch. This goes live in 3 minutes, the journalist announced. Unless you'd like to comment first, Mr. Lavelle. The gallery erupted. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Marcel's face drained of color. Amara stood on stage, her grandmother's designs glowing behind her, the truth finally visible. Marcel turned to her. Their eyes locked across the chaos. Security, he said quietly. Everyone out, now. The live stream cut to black. The gallery emptied in controlled chaos. Reporters were escorted out, still shouting questions. Finalists left in confused clusters. Amara stood alone on stage as security cleared the room. Simone approached her. You should go home. We'll contact you. About what? My termination? Amara's voice cracked. Simone's expression was unreadable. Just go home. Outside, the autumn air bit through Amara's dress. Her phone exploded with notifications, texts, emails, social media tags. The article was everywhere. Her name was everywhere. Photos of her, the torn sketch. Marcel's face, Jade called 12 times. Amara didn't answer. She walked for an hour, directionless. The city blurred. People stared at her head wrap, her face. Did they recognize her? Did everyone know? Her apartment felt too small when she finally reached it. Too quiet. The fabric samples on her walls seemed to mock her now. The sewing machine sat dark in the corner. She unwrapped her head wrap. Her coils tumbled free, perfect and useless. The torn sketch still sat on her desk, the one Marcel had ripped. Her grandmother's journal lay open beside it. She'd promised to honor this legacy. Instead, she'd turned it into a spectacle. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She let it go to voicemail. Then another call. Another. The voicemails piled up. Journalists requesting interviews. Strangers offering support. Her design school requesting a meeting. Amara turned off her phone. She sat in darkness as evening fell. No lights, no sound. Just silence and the weight of uncertainty. Had she won or lost? The article exposed Marcel's discrimination, yes, but at what cost? Her grandmother's private designs were now public. Her own face was attached to controversy. Would any fashion house hire her after this? She touched the journal's worn cover. Her grandmother had hidden these designs, believing the world wasn't ready. Maybe she'd been right. Maybe some battles couldn't be won. The city lights flickered through her window, distant, cold, indifferent. Then she noticed something. On her desk, beneath scattered papers, a photograph. Her grandmother, young and radiant in ruby red, holding up a finished garment with fierce pride. That expression, uncompromising, unapologetic. You will be different, her grandmother's voice whispered through memory. You will create beauty that needs no apology. Amara's fingers traced the photograph's edge. Maybe exposure wasn't defeat. Maybe visibility was the point. She turned her phone back on. The car? Voicemails were overwhelming. Amara listened to them one by one. Journalists, bloggers, 3. Different fashion publications requesting exclusive interviews. Her design professor asking if she needed support. Then one message made her pause. Miss Okafor, this is Nia Chen from the Fashion Ethics Coalition. We've been investigating Lavelle House for 2 years. Your story is the missing piece. We have documentation, witness testimonies, internal communications, but we need someone willing to go public. Call me. Amara saved the number. Another voicemail, this one from an unfamiliar voice. Amara, you don't know me, but I was rejected by Lavelle 5 years ago. Same reason. Same designer. I stayed silent because I thought it was just me. Thank you for being brave. You're not alone in this. Then another. And another? 7 voicemails from designers with identical stories. Women of color told their natural hair was unprofessional. Men of color told their aesthetic was too urban. All rejected before their work was properly considered. A pattern. Systematic. Documented now. Jade burst through the door at midnight. Have you seen Twitter? You're trending. People are sharing their Lavelle rejection stories. There are hundreds of them. Amara pulled up her laptop. The hashtag #NotLavelleTruth was everywhere. Designers posting their rejection letters. Models sharing their experiences. Industry veterans coming forward with decades-old stories. At the center, her grandmother's designs. Screenshots shared thousands of times, praised universally. The work is undeniable, one fashion editor tweeted. Lavelle rejected genius because of bias. Another, if this is what we've been missing by gatekeeping beauty standards, the industry owes a massive apology. Amara scrolled through comments. Support flooded in, but also backlash. Marcel's defenders claiming she'd orchestrated a publicity stunt, that she was playing victim, that standards existed for reasons. What are you going to do? Jade asked quietly. Amara thought of her grandmother's hidden journal, of the promise at the grave, of every designer silenced by fear. She called Nia Chen. I'll testify, Amara said. I'll go public with everything, but I need your help with something first. Name it. The Fashion Ethics Coalition. Do you have connections to independent fashion weeks? Smaller showcases? Several. Why? Amara looked at her grandmother's journal, at designs that had waited decades to be seen. Because I want to show the work. Not as portfolio images, as actual garments, on actual models, with natural hair. Every texture, every shade, every form Marcel called unprofessional. Nia was quiet for a moment. Then, I know someone. The Emerging Voices Showcase. It's small but prestigious. Next month. But Amara creating a full collection in 4 weeks. My grandmother spent 40 years designing these. I just need to construct them. Amara's voice steadied. Can you connect me? I'll make the call tonight. After hanging up, Amara pulled out fabric samples. Emerald green silk, royal blue velvet, burnt orange cotton, gold threading. Jade watched her, then grabbed scissors. Tell me what you need. They worked until dawn, measuring, cutting, planning. The apartment transformed into a workshop. The sewing machine hummed to life. Amara pinned fabric to her dress form, her grandmother's sketch propped beside it. The model in the drawing wore her hair in magnificent coils, proud, natural, beautiful. We're going to show them, Amara whispered to the sketch. Exactly what they refused to see. The Emerging Voices Showcase occupied a converted warehouse in Brooklyn. 4 weeks had evaporated in a blur of thread and deadline pressure. Amara had constructed 7 complete garments from her grandmother's designs, each one paired with a model whose natural hair matched the original sketches. Opening night arrived cold and clear. The venue buzzed with energy, press, buyers, designers, industry insiders, and protesters outside. Marcel Lavelle's supporters demonstrated against cancel culture. Counter-protesters championed Dinah's Lavelle truth. Inside, Amara stood backstage, heart hammering. Her models surrounded her. 7 women of varying shades, their hair styled in locks, coils, afros, braids. Each wore a garment that celebrated their natural beauty. 5 minutes, the stage manager called. Nia Chen appeared at Amara's elbow. The Fashion Ethics Coalition released our full report an hour ago. 18 months of investigation. 43 documented cases of discrimination. Internal emails proving systematic bias. It's everywhere. Is he here? Amara asked quietly. Marcel. Front row. He came to refute the allegations publicly. Nia smiled grimly. He's about to regret that choice. The lights dimmed. Music swelled. The audience settled into hushed anticipation. Amara's first model stepped onto the runway. She wore the emerald green gown, flowing fabric that moved like water, textured panels mimicking natural coils. Her own hair formed a crown of tight curls adorned with gold threading. She walked with her chin high, the gown catching light with every step. The audience gasped. The second model emerged, royal blue ensemble, her locks wrapped in complementary lavender fabric falling past her shoulders. The design incorporated traditional African patterns, modernized through innovative draping. Cameras flashed. The crowd leaned forward. Third model, burnt orange dress with mustard yellow accents, her afro picked out to full volume. The garment silhouette echoing her hair's natural shape. 4th, 5th, 6th, each garment more stunning than the last. Each model radiating confidence, beauty, power. Amara watched from the wings, barely breathing. The final model wore the dress from the torn sketch, the one Marcel had ripped. Amara had reconstructed it from memory and her grandmother's notes. Ruby red fabric cascaded in waves. The model's coiled hair styled exactly as the original drawing showed. She reached the runway's end, paused, turned. The room erupted. Standing ovation. Cheers. Some people were crying. Photographers swarmed. Fashion editors typed frantically on phones. Amara stepped onto the runway. Her models flanked her, a united front of beauty that had been deemed unprofessional. Marcel Lavelle sat frozen in the front row, his face ashen. Beside him, Simone was clapping. Andre, too. They weren't looking at Marcel anymore. A journalist stood. Mr. Lavelle, these are the designs you rejected. Do you still maintain they lack merit? Marcel's mouth opened. Closed. The cameras waited. These garments, another journalist called, are from the portfolio you called ethnic fads. Care to comment on their reception tonight? The applause continued. The model stood proud. Amara met Marcel's eyes across the chaos. He looked away first. Mr. Lavelle has no comment, his publicist announced, standing abruptly. They moved toward the exit. But the room had already rendered its verdict. Fashion editors approached Amara with business cards. Buyers requested appointments. A major department store wanted exclusive rights. The work spoke. Finally, undeniably, it spoke. The weeks that followed moved like a dream. Marcel Lavelle resigned from his position. The board released a statement acknowledging systematic failures and promising reform. Simone was promoted to creative director. Her first action, implementing blind portfolio reviews and diverse hiring mandates. The Fashion Ethics Coalition's report triggered an industry-wide reckoning. Other houses faced scrutiny. Standards were questioned. Conversations about beauty, bias, and gatekeeping dominated every publication. Amara's collection sold out within days. Orders flooded in. 3 fashion schools requested her as a guest lecturer. A major magazine featured her on their cover. Hair natural, coils perfect, wearing her grandmother's ruby red design. But the moment that mattered most came quietly. Amara stood in a small boutique in Brooklyn, watching as her garments hung on racks alongside established designers. A young girl, maybe 10, entered with her mother. The girl had hair like Amara's, thick coils, voluminous and natural. She approached the emerald green gown, reached out tentatively to touch the fabric. "This is so pretty," she whispered. Her mother smiled. "It is, and look, the model has hair like yours." The girl studied the photo. Her expression transformed. "Really? Really? Your hair is beautiful." Amara watched from across the store, her throat tight. This was why. That evening she sat in her apartment, larger now, a proper studio space. Her grandmother's journal rested open on her desk, beside the torn sketch, carefully taped back together. Jade found her there. "The Times wants an interview, and Milan Fashion Week sent an invitation." "Milan?" Amara looked up, stunned. "They want you for their Emerging Designers Showcase." "International stage," Jade grinned. "Your grandmother's designs are going global." Amara traced the journal's cover. Her grandmother had believed the world wasn't ready. But she'd prepared Amara for the moment when it finally was. "I'm scared," Amara admitted quietly. "Good. You're supposed to be." Jade squeezed her shoulder. "But you're ready." She made sure you would be. Through the window the city glittered. The same city that had rejected her months ago now opened its doors. But Amara understood something now. The doors had always been there. She'd just had to kick them open herself. She picked up a piece of cobalt blue fabric, her next design already forming in her mind. Her crown had never been the problem. The world's blindness had been, and she'd taught them to see. 6 months later, Amara returned to Metropolitan Arts Institute as a guest speaker. She stood before a lecture hall of design students, their faces eager and uncertain, the way hers had been once. Some had natural hair, some didn't. All of them listened. "My grandmother told me fashion is storytelling," Amara began. "But she didn't tell me how hard it would be to make people listen." She showed them the torn sketch, now framed on her studio wall. "This represents rejection, not just of a design, but of identity, of beauty that doesn't conform, of stories the industry decided didn't matter." A student raised her hand. "How did you keep going after being rejected?" Amara thought of her grandmother's voice, of the hidden journal, of every designer who'd shared their story after hers went public. "I realized something important. Their rejection wasn't about my worth. It was about their limitations." She paused, meeting eyes across the room. "The standards that excluded me weren't protecting quality. They were protecting comfort. Their comfort, not ours." She clicked to the next slide. Photos from her showcase, models radiating joy and power, garments that celebrated every texture and shade. Beauty doesn't need permission to exist. But sometimes it needs courage to insist on being seen. Amara's voice strengthened. If you create work that honors who you are, someone will always tell you it's not enough. Not polished enough. Not professional enough. Not universal enough, she smiled. Show them anyway. Let your crown be visible. Let your story be undeniable. Because the world doesn't need more designs that look like everything else. It needs yours. The students erupted in applause. Afterward, several approached her, each one sharing their own story of being told to change, to conform, to diminish. Amara listened to everyone, gave them her card, promised to look at their work. That evening she visited her grandmother's grave. The headstone was simple, dignified. She placed fresh flowers beside it. Ruby red roses, her grandmother's favorite. They saw it, Grandma, she whispered. They finally saw. The wind rustled through trees overhead. A bird called in the distance. The city hummed beyond the cemetery walls. Amara touched the headstone, then stood. Her coils caught the golden hour light, each curl a declaration, each strand a story. She walked back through the gates with her head high, her crown perfect, her purpose clear. The fashion world had tried to tell her she didn't belong. She'd shown them they were wrong. And somewhere she knew her grandmother was smiling. Your beauty needs no apology. Your story needs no permission. Your crown is your power. Wear it.